Stop. If you're buying a camper van in 2026, there's a 70% chance you're about to overpay, and you won't realize it until you've lost 20 grand. I'm going to show you the 5 things that separate smart camper van buyers from people who end up selling at a massive loss within 18 months. One of these is so counterintuitive that even experienced RVers get it wrong. By the end, you'll know which vans hold value, which features are money traps, and whether a van is built to live in, built to flip, or built to fail. Why your van will be worth 40% less in 2 years. Here's what dealerships won't tell you. The camper van you buy today loses value differently than it did 3 years ago. The market has split into 2 categories, and the group losing the most money is first-time buyers who trusted brand hype instead of ownership math. Mercedes Sprinter-based builds and Ford Transit Customs that were selling for $85,000 in 2023, many are now listed for $55,000 with no buyers. Meanwhile, well-spec'd Ram ProMaster conversions and certain Winnebago Revel models are holding within 15% of original price. Why? Because the buyers who flooded the market during the pandemic are now flooding it again with their barely used vans. The difference is, the vans that are selling quickly aren't the prettiest ones. They're the ones with the right wheelbase, the right engine, and the right companies behind them. And this is where most buyers make their first irreversible mistake. If you're looking at a Class B motorhome from a manufacturer that's been around less than 5 years, understand this: when something breaks, and it will, you're dealing with a custom conversion that may not have parts support. I've seen $4,000 water system replacements because the builder used proprietary components that are no longer manufactured. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of the best holding vans right now are the ones everyone called boring 2 years ago. Gas versus diesel, the $8,000 mistake. Let's talk about the decision that actually matters more than your interior finish: diesel versus gasoline in 2026. The diesel Sprinter used to be the default choice. Premium feel, better mileage, holds value. But here's the problem most buyers discover too late. DEF system failures are costing owners $3,000 to $8,000 in repairs, and they're happening earlier than expected. I'm talking 60,000 to 80,000 miles. That's 1 or 2 years for full-timers. Now compare that to the Ford Transit with the 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. Less sexy on paper, but repair costs? Half. Availability of mechanics who can work on it? Everywhere. You can get this serviced in rural Montana or southern Spain. Try finding a Sprinter diesel specialist in West Texas. Here's the controversial part. For most buyers, especially retirees planning 10,000 to 15,000 miles per year, the gasoline engine will save you money over 5 years, even with worse fuel economy. The break-even point on diesel has completely shifted. Unless you're planning to drive 25,000 plus miles annually, or you're specifically buying a 4x4 Sprinter for overlanding, you're paying a premium for complexity you don't need. Here's the rule: if you don't know exactly why you need diesel, you don't need diesel. And if you're in Europe, this calculation flips entirely because diesel infrastructure and costs are different. But in the USA, the gasoline Transit or ProMaster is the smarter financial play for 70% of buyers. The lithium lie builders don't want you to know. Everyone wants lithium batteries. I get it. They're lighter, they last longer, they charge faster. But here's what most walkthroughs don't show you. A proper lithium system with 400 plus amp hours, a good inverter, solar panels, and a DC to DC charger costs $8,000 to $12,000 when done right, and most factory installs cut corners. I've seen $70,000 vans with 200 amp hours of lithium and a 2,000 watt inverter. Sounds great until you realize you can't run your air conditioner for more than 2 hours and the solar can't keep up with daily use. You're either plugged into shore power or you're managing battery anxiety every single day. The truth is, if your plan is to stay in campgrounds with hookups 60% of the time, you're overpaying for a system you rarely use. A well-designed AGM setup costs half as much and does exactly what you need. But if you're planning to boondock, work remotely, or spend weeks off-grid, then yes, invest in lithium. but make sure you're getting at least 400 amp hours with 600 plus watts of solar. Anything less is a compromise that'll frustrate you daily. And here's the part nobody checks: battery brand availability. If your lithium brand disappears, your premium system becomes a paperweight. The smart move is to buy a van with basic electrical and upgrade it yourself or through a specialist. You'll save $5,000 and get exactly what you need, not what the builder's supplier had in stock. How to spot a layout that'll make you miserable. Walk into any RV show and every van looks livable, but I call this the two-person test, and 60% of vans fail instantly. Stand in the van and imagine cooking dinner while your partner needs to use the bathroom. Can both of you move, or does one person have to stop what they're doing? The biggest layout mistake is prioritizing sleeping space over living space. Yes, you need a comfortable bed, but you sleep 8 hours and live 16. I see so many vans with massive permanent beds and kitchens you can barely turn around in. The vans that people actually live in long-term have flexible spaces, dinettes that convert to beds, garage space that's actually usable, kitchens with enough counter space to prep real meals, not just heat up canned soup. And here's a specific call-out. If you're over 6 feet tall or traveling with kids, test the bathroom, not just standing in it. Actually close the door and sit down. I've seen $80,000 builds where an average-sized adult can't comfortably use the toilet without their knees hitting the door. For families, ask yourself, where do the kids go when it's raining and you can't be outside? If the answer is the bed, you're going to hate that van within 3 months. If a van fails the two-person test on day 1, it won't magically pass it 6 months in. The best advice I can give is rent the exact van you're considering buying or one with the same layout for at least 4 days. Live in it like you plan to. Cook all your meals, work if you work remotely. That'll tell you more than 100 YouTube tours. The van I would actually buy with my own money. So, after looking at depreciation, reliability, electrical systems, and layouts, here's my honest take. If I were writing the check myself, not sponsored, not comped, not trying to impress anyone, this is what I would buy. The best value camper van for most buyers in 2026 is not a Mercedes Sprinter, and it's not a custom $100,000 Storyteller or outside van. It's a 2 to 3 year old Winnebago Solus or a well-optioned Coachman Beyond. These are ProMasters, they're gasoline, they depreciated hard in years 1 and 2, which means you're buying them at 60% of original price. They have proven layouts, established service networks, and enough of them exist that parts and knowledge are widely available. Buying new is rarely the smart financial move, unless you plan to keep the van for 8+ years. Seriously, buying new is rarely the smart financial move. Or, if you want to go bigger and prioritize reliability over everything else, a used Ford Transit-based leisure transit van or Pleasureway. Boring? Maybe. But 3 years from now when you want to sell, or when you're 800 miles away from home and need service, you'll understand why boring wins. For buyers who genuinely need 4x4 and plan serious off-grid adventures, the Winnebago Revel 4x4 on the Sprinter chassis is still the most complete package, but only if you're actually using that capability. If your off-road is a gravel campground, you're wasting $15,000. So, who should buy what and who should not buy at all? Here's who should buy what. If you're a retiree planning part-time travel and campground stays, use Transit or ProMaster Class B, 2 to 3 years old, gasoline engine. If you're going full-time with boondocking, use Revel or similar with proper lithium, but buy used and upgrade the electrical if needed. If you're a weekend warrior or family doing seasonal trips, don't buy at all. Rent. You'll save $40,000 and avoid depreciation entirely. And if you're buying because van life looks cool on social media, wait. Rent for 3 months first, because the romance of van life disappears real fast when you're dealing with a broken water heater in February. So, be honest. Are diesel Sprinters still worth it, or are people finally admitting they're a money pit for most buyers? Team Sprinter or Team Transit? Defend your choice in the comments. And if this saved you from a mistake, send it to someone about to make one.